Hi YouTube and welcome to episode 4 of Food for Thought Daily. As today marks the anniversary of the letter from Birmingham jail, I thought today's episode would be on the Nobel Peace Prize winning and famous activist Martin Luther King Jr. Martin Luther King Jr. was born January 15, 1929 in Atlanta, Georgia. Although he and his father were originally called Michael King, they changed their names as a tribute to the German Protestant Martin Luther. Martin Luther King married Coretta Scott on June 18, 1953 in her parents' front lawn in Alabama. In 1955, along with Edgar Nixon, Martin Luther King Jr. was part of the planning of the famous Montgomery bus boycotts, which was started when Rosa Parks refused on December 1st to give up her seats to a white man in compliance with the Jim Crow laws that were in place at the time. The boycott lasted 385 days, and Martin Luther King Jr.'s house was bombed repeatedly due to the tensions between the white and black members of the state. The boycott eventually ended segregation in the area. Influenced by the teachings of civil rights leader Gandhi, Martin Luther King Jr. advocated peaceful protest and non-violence towards people who tried to oppose him. Perhaps his most famous speech of the many that he delivered was the one he delivered in front of the Lincoln Memorial in Washington in 1963. Beginning with the phrase, "I have a dream," it's perhaps one of the most famous speeches of all time, although it was heavily criticized by another civil rights movement leader at the time, Malcolm X, who I'll speak about tomorrow. The letter from Birmingham jail is also another famous part of the history of the civil rights movement. It was written while Martin Luther King Jr. was put in jail in reaction to the non-violent protests that he had been putting in place in Birmingham, one of the most segregated states in the country. To a statement made earlier that year by 8 white clergymen in Alabama that agreed that social injustices were being taken place, but that the battle should be fought in the courtrooms and not in the streets. Later that year, Martin Luther King Jr. was freed from the prison. At 6:01 p.m. on April 4th, 1968, in room 306 of the Lorraine Motel, Martin Luther King Jr. was shot in the head by an unknown assassin. The assassin has supposedly never been found, and his death caused reactions from leaders all over the world, and many riots that broke out throughout the country in response. Even today, Martin Luther King Jr.'s presence can be felt, and the changes that he did for the civil rights movement are still in place today. On this day, 1919, Gandhi organized a day of fasting in response to the British slaughter of the Amritsar massacre in India. Bernard Baruch coined the term the Cold War in 1947. Today's dish comes from England and is called bubble and squeak. It's made with leftover cabbage and vegetables, fried, sometimes with potatoes and meat. The quote of the day is, "The best defense against an atomic bomb is to not be there when it goes off." The word of the day is colophon, traditionally the place in the back of a book where details about publication will be printed.